Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for making the time and effort for joining us this morning. I'd like to first of all acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands in which we meet. I know we're doing this by video conference and we're scattered right across the state, but I'd like to pay respects to our elders past and present. With that, I'd also like to acknowledge a few special guests that have been able to join us today. Obviously, Minister for Training and Skills, Minister for Higher Education, the Honourable Gayle Tierney. Thank you, Minister, for joining us. Warren Hill, the Executive Director, Engagement, Participation and Inclusion within the Department of Education and Training. And our two very special guests, our apprentices and trainees. So Christy Nardella, who's recommenced as a carpentry apprentice recently. So welcome, Christy. And I believe she's on site today, so she'll be able to give us some hands-on practical advice on how to install kitchen cabinets. And we've got Laura Holmes, who's a last-minute call up. So appreciate Laura's availability at the last minute this morning. She's a Certificate 3 Business Administration trainer who, again, was just recently recommenced. So with that, I'll hand over to our chair of the association, Dean Linciani.
Thank you, Gary, and good morning and welcome everybody. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. A very special acknowledgement to the Honourable Gayle Tierney, Member for Western Victoria, Minister for Skills and Training and Minister for Higher Education. Look, the AEN has enjoyed a wonderful and very strong relationship with the Victorian Government over a number of years now. And in particular, I'd like to acknowledge the leadership that Minister Tierney has actually shown and the support that she's shown to so many young people trying to gain a job and to gain a qualification through the apprenticeship and traineeship system. That support in a lot of cases is through our association and our many members. And it has been absolutely unwavering, and I'm really pleased to be able to say that we've achieved some really special outcomes, and a lot of outcomes that probably wouldn't have been achieved without the support of government and in particular Gayle Tierney and her department. And I suppose over the years, we've worked very, very tightly together to overcome problems that are just normal day-to-day issues and challenges. But certainly nothing like we face in 2020. And I suppose that in terms of the unknowns that are in front of us and the challenges that are in front of us, they are emerging on a day-to-day basis. And it's very, very, and I'll use the word encouraging and comforting and positive for us to know that we have the leadership that we do within the skills and training environment. Acknowledging the leadership of the Victorian Government and Minister Tierney in being able to support us, even in these times of moving forward, to help us support young people in these really, really challenging times. So very important, I think, that I do acknowledge the relationship that has been developed over a number of years now, and that continuing support for the sector that ultimately drifts through to the key stakeholders, and predominantly young people and predominantly people in apprenticeship and traineeship. So with that, I would like to formally invite Minister Tierney to speak.
Right, thank you, Dean, and good morning, everyone. Can I also start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we all gather today and pay my respects to their elders, both past, present and emerging. I also particularly want to acknowledge the people of the Wadawurrung here on the Bellarine, which is where my home is. I'm back from Parliament. I've had the last 2 days in the Legislative Council, and I'm very, very pleased to be back on home territory. And I also, of course, wish to acknowledge Dean Linciani, the board chair of the Apprenticeship Network, and of course the CEO of West Vic Staffing, Gary Workman, the Executive Director of AEN, and of course all of the other group training organisations that are joining with us today. Any apprentices and trainees that are online, thank you for your attendance, but particularly Christy and Laura, thank you so much for being able to join us. It's always incredibly important to have the students, the trainees and the apprentices with us on whatever we are doing, and that they're not just seen as, you know, students over there that aren't incorporated in the good times, and indeed in developing policy and strategies that can assist future students. It's absolutely great to be here today. I think it's all very, I think, challenging for all of us in the training sector. We know that there are a number of apprentices that have basically fallen out of the system. They've either been suspended, or they've they've seen it all a little bit too hard for a whole variety of reasons. And of course, we can't afford that to happen. We know that we have got shortages in a whole range of industries. We know that we have got a major infrastructure program that is there by the state government. We know that there is a massive rollout of human services that we need to deal with in terms of our workforce, whether it be aged care or indeed disability care and mental health. So, you know, we have got so much that we need to do to try and ensure that, one, the system continues to operate, and two, that the retention rates are improved, and that we hold the students that we've got, so that as we recover, we play an absolutely central role in the recovery of our economies here in Victoria, whether it be here in the Geelong region or in Metro Melbourne or the other side of Gippsland. Training and skills has the absolutely vital role to play in restoring what we need. But more than restoring, it's about making sure that we have got that general skills-based capability that will attract investors into the future. That they'll know that if they're thinking about joining in on a project here in Melbourne, that Victoria has got that skills base, that reservoir of skills that they will know that they can utilise in any business contract that they want to enter into. And I think that's critically important. And so as a government, we know that, and that's why we set up the registration infrastructure a couple of months ago, so that if apprentices were leaving the system, that there was a system whereby they could register themselves and indeed set up a program where we would reach out to them through the AEN network and ensure that their mental health and their other attributes were being looked after, and indeed to talk with them and work out whether we could engage them in further training, additional training, or of course find a new employer for them as well. This is absolutely critical work, because if we don't get this right, if we don't actively ensure that we do maintain the necessary numbers that we need in the system, whether they be apprentices or trainees, it means that there will be an absolute break in the pipeline that we need. And that means opportunities for young people will be essentially destroyed, but it will be generations before we can actually get that pipeline that we need underway. And so that's why I was really pleased to announce a further $900,000 to extend this program into the middle of next year, because I could see that even with the initial registration and the initial work that was being done in this area, we were kicking goals, that we were actually able to reach out and hold on to some of these apprentices and trainees and work out what they wanted to do, and to fully engage them, either in terms of further study or employment. So can I take this as an opportunity to thank you for all of the great work that you do in this area. We cannot underestimate the end outcome of what you are doing in terms of the lives of the kids that you're dealing with, also adult apprentices too, of course. We can't underestimate what you're doing. The outcomes speak for themselves, and I applaud you for the work that you and your fellow teams do in this area. It's a way that we can maintain the numbers, but it's also a way of maintaining how we talk about work and the connection between training, skills and the acquisition of skills and jobs. I drive people nuts, I think, talking about skills and jobs in the same sentence time and time again. But I think because of COVID, in some ways, it's also hit the nail on the head in terms of how we need to essentially soup up the skills and training system and work out different ways that we can connect up and reconnect up so that we can have that steady pipeline of workers, skilled workers that we need in so many industrial sectors in our economy. So again, thank you, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to assist in what I consider to be vital aspects of support in the training sector, and indeed the apprenticeship system that is constantly, I think, under review, but I think we can time and time again prove the essential elements of an apprenticeship is something that we can really ensure the stability of manufacturing and beyond in our industrial sector. So thank you. Thank you to Dean, thank you to Gary, and thank you to all of you in the GTO network for everything that you do. It's great. Thank you.
Thanks, Minister. Yeah, and again, as Dean mentioned earlier, we really appreciate the support you've provided now for quite a number of years. We think, as you've mentioned as well, that this is really vital work to make sure that we can hang on to as many young people as we can, keep them motivated in these tough times, and then hopefully over the next few months we can certainly re-engage them in metropolitan Melbourne and kickstart their careers again, and also kickstart the economy with getting young people back into work. I do have a quick PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to share with you, and just some of the achievements we've been able to make over the initial 6 months. And then we'll like to introduce you to two apprentices and trainees that have actually benefited directly from this program. So I'll share my screen with everyone. I'll try not to bore you to death with too many statistics. I think you can all see that. So just very quickly, when we have a look, we've built a dashboard. At the moment, we've had about 425 people register for the program. We've got around about 290 still active participants, and of that, 279 are still actively in training, which is a great result. The age distribution is quite wide. It goes from 15 years of age right through to sort of almost 50 years of age from an apprentice and trainee perspective. And again, it's covering quite a broad range of industries and geographical locations. So when we have a look at the number of registrations so far, 85% of them have been apprentices, 8% have been school-based apprentices, and around about almost 7% have been trainees. Very heavily dominated in the male space at this stage, 82% are male, 17% female, and the vast majority between that 15 to 48 years of age, with that 19 to 28 is where the vast majority are sitting. 47% are first year, 25% are second year, 19% are third year, and 8% are fourth year apprentices. Metro Melbourne is certainly the sector that's affected the most, with 65% of registrations coming from the western suburbs, the southeast suburbs, and the outer eastern suburbs of Metro Melbourne. And the other 35% are spread across the state, with Geelong, Ballarat and Gippsland the most affected. We have over 20 field officers supporting this program, and they're represented by 18 organisations. So we really thank the network for getting behind this program and supporting it to the level that we have so far. When we have a look at the top industries, building, construction, electrical, automotive, hair and beauty and metal engineering have been the most affected industries. And when we look at the occupations specifically, that's turned into electrical, plumbing, carpentry, chefs and hair and beauticians. So again, it has covered a wider range, but they're the top 5 occupations in both of those sort of fields. When we have a look at our job vacancies, the department did an email out to all of their listed employers back in sort of late June, and we had a really good response. We had over 600 job vacancy listings, so it's pleasing to see that employers out there are quite keen. Unfortunately, we had stage 4 restrictions hit metropolitan Melbourne, so we had to do a bit of a call around to see if those jobs were still active. At the moment, we're sitting on about 40 job listings that are still active, but we hope that that will turn around over the next few weeks when businesses start to reopen. And it's also pleasing to see that the job vacancies are matching some of the industries that have been the most affected. So building construction, automotive, electrical, landscape and gardening, and metal engineering have been the industries with the most job vacancies. And again, metropolitan Melbourne have been pretty good at looking at, how do we recover out of this when stage 4 closes. So we're quite excited that there will be opportunities for young people over the next few months. And the idea for us now is really just trying to keep them motivated and then present them as best we can in the coming weeks. We've also had some initial success, which has been great. We've had over 35 recommencements across the state. The recommencements have been certainly a lot stronger in the regional areas compared to Metro Melbourne, which again, I think reinforces that metro areas are a little bit tighter in terms of the jobs market and restrictions, but Geelong, Ballarat, Southwest Victoria, Central Victoria, Northern Victoria have been really good. And the recommencements have been in trades like electrical, carpentry, plumbing, business administration and hair and beauty. So again, it's pleasing to see that around about 10% have recommenced. We would certainly like to get that up to 90% over the next coming months when businesses start to reopen. When we look at the recommencements, we've had a similar breakdown to what the actual full registrations are. So around 83% of the recommencements have been male, 17% female. We've got 2 females that are about to join us in a minute. The occupations have been construction, electrical, hair and beauty, business admin and engineering. 48% of them have been directly employed and 52% have been employed back through the GTOs. So again, we think in both of those spaces, there'll be a lot more opportunities over the coming months. So with that, I know we've got Christy Nadella on the call today, and we've also got Laura Holmes. So Christy restarted. She's from the Geelong region. She's been able to recommence with an employer directly called JPH Joinery. And I know she's on site today actually installing cabinets, so we'll get to her in a minute. And the other person we have on the line is Laura Holmes. So Laura recommenced her business administration traineeship with Wessex Staffing Solutions back in May. And we'll now go to both of those trainees and try and get them on the line. So hopefully they've heard all of that while I escape out of the PowerPoint slides. And we can see if those 2 guys can join us. Are you there, Christy and Laura?
Yep. Yes.
So we've got a little bit of time. We've got a few minutes. So we're keen to, what I'll do is turn off my screen. So then I think people will be able to see you instead of my mug. So let me turn off my screen, but you should still hear me. And when you guys talk, you should be appearing on everyone else's screens. But I might start with Christy to begin with. How have you found the last few months and certainly with your new employer over the last few weeks?
My new employer is great. I found that when I lost the first job, it was really difficult for me to get another one, being a female as well as being mature at age. So being able to get another chance is amazing for me. I love my new employer, and I know it's not a trade that's normally done by women, but it's really nice to be given that chance.
And you're on site today putting some cabinets in?
Yes, we're installing bedrooms today.
Okay, so some wardrobes.
Yeah.
All the males that are on the call are really keen to see how it's done properly. All right. What would you tell other young people that are in the same situation as yourself? Again, we'd like to sort of encourage young people and keep them motivated. We know it's tough in this environment.
Yeah. I would say just keep trying. I got turned back a lot. We contacted almost all the joineries in Geelong, and because of COVID, no one was really sure about employing someone new. But just keep going, keep trying. You'll find someone that'll give you a chance. Just keep calling them.
That's great. Thanks, Christy. And Laura, I think you're with us today as well, and you're working, you're on site, continuing your business administration traineeship.
Yes.
You're really talkative, Laura, so I might ask you another question. How have you found your recommencement with your traineeship?
Yeah, it's really good. Obviously, I got handed back from my other job at a primary school, and Westvic took me on as their RTO administrator. So it's been really good. The opportunity was amazing, and I'm learning so much, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
No, that's great. I know I'm picking on you, but thanks for making your time to join us both today, guys. We know you're busy in the middle of work. I'm going to turn my camera back on because we do have some certificates of appreciation that we're going to share with yourself and also your host employers. We were going to do a magic trick and hand them over virtually and have them there already, but the delays of COVID got to us a little bit in the end. So you will get these in the mail over the next couple of days, but we really appreciate your support. We'd like you to share this message with as many young people as you can, family, parents, other school colleagues. We know it's a really tough environment, but you two are great examples of hanging in there and continuing your studies and continuing your careers. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, a virtual clap from everyone. So, look, I think that's all we really wanted to cover today. We know it's tough doing these sorts of activities virtually, so thank you to everyone who's participated. Thank you to the Minister for making her time available, and also thank you for providing additional funds for this program to continue over the next 6 or 7 months.
An absolute pleasure, and can I wish everyone the very best? I know it's difficult times. Can I also thank Christy and Laura's employers, and I wish them the very best in forging a new relationship, working relationship. And I would love to know what Christy and Laura are doing in a year's time. I would love you to contact my office so that I can track you down and share your stories with all the other students and apprentices that I come across through my work. And indeed, I would love to know what you aspire to in terms of your ongoing career in the area that you have chosen. So again, good luck.
Thank you, Minister. And with that, I think we're right on time. It's 11:30. Thanks for everyone for making the time to join us today. We'll certainly share that information about the program and where we've got to date with the group. And we'd certainly encourage GTOs to keep working with their local caseloads. And we think we'll have some more apprentices and trainees in the near future to add. And again, hopefully the economy turns around in the next few months and we can get more young people into work.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate all the effort
Thanks,
this afternoon, and thank you to our guests as well.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Minister. You're very much appreciated. All the best.